Hey everybody, this is Vera Sadler with VLS Coaching and Women of Life Ministries, and I am here tonight on Tuesday Talk Live. Thank you for joining us on this session of Tuesday Talk Live. And as always, I am excited to have my guests with me tonight that I bring to share with you. And every time I bring a guest with to on Tuesday Talk Live, I believe the guest has so much to share with you and so much that you will need to learn from it. And I'm here with my guest tonight, Miss Amy Hill from A Level Higher. Amy, welcome. And thank you for taking out of your Tuesday night to come and share with the individuals that are going to hear this, even whether they're watching live tonight, whether they come on later, or even weeks later. But I know the topic that we're going to discuss tonight is so important because we live in a world where people have either settled, whether they've forgotten about their dreams, whether they're stagnant in life, or just whatever life has done, life has come. That's what we have this saying, life just lifes.
Yes.
Life is doing what it's supposed to
Life
do.
is lifing.
And so, right, life is lifing. And because of that, I think what you do as a elevation coach and a coach in your business and in your field and the people that you bring alongside and help, or that you're coming alongside to help in the business, that your work is so crucial. So I'm just so grateful that we're going to be able to have a conversation tonight to help individuals and to see, let them see what they, or help them, just give them conversation that, hey, life is not, you don't have to stay where you are. You don't
No.
have to be stagnant, but there is a reason and there is a way to level up. And so,
Yes.
guys, we're going to just jump right in. I'm going to have Miss Amy introduce herself, introduce her business, and then we're just going to start talking. Our topic tonight is the challenges of leveling up in life.
Yes.
And so, Miss Amy, I'm sorry. My
No, that
thoughts are going faster than I can get the words out. That's what happens sometimes when you're thinking about it, you're trying to get it out, but you can't get your words to formulate as fast. But Amy, can you introduce yourself to our guest tonight and then just tell us a little bit about yourself and about the business?
Hi. Well, thank you, Vera, for this opportunity. And hello, everyone. My name is Amy Hill. I am owner of A Level Higher. And the goal or the mission of A Level Higher is all about we're really leading the empowerment of adults. It's all about empowering adults so that they can live their best life. And we do that by focusing on their evolution, their transformation, and their elevation. Because as you said, Vera, there are times in life as adults, we get stuck. Life happens, things happen to us. And because of that, we can just kind of settle for our status quo. We can get stuck in doing our routine, our day in, day out thing. And we're so focused on the external, and we get on that sort of like a hamster wheel, and that's all that we keep doing. And we stop focusing on ourselves, our goals, our hopes, our dreams, and we just kind of sink into this comfort zone. And we get sort of our guidance from our parents, and we get guidance from teachers, and we if we're in sports and things like that, we have coaches. But as adults, we don't have coaches, and we have to figure this thing out on our own. And lots of
Yes.
times, because we get stuck and we're just going through the motions of life and doing the things that we have to do, we stay there and we stagnate. So I know what that is like because I've been there. And I made it my mission to really help adults level up, to get beyond their fears, to get beyond the comfort zone, to realize that your life is a result of the decisions that you make. And even though you have been somewhere that you might not necessarily want it to be, you might still be there. You don't have to stay there. And there's a way out. There's an elevation path that you can follow.
Oh man, that's so good. And you said a couple of things that just already started triggering thoughts in my mind, which was one, when you're a child, you have someone that's helping you, coaching you. When you're youth, and even, we have youth programs, we have stuff, and we
Mhm.
know the coaching is a big business now, but still there are so many people who don't believe that they need to help.
Right.
They have this mindset, I got this. But even in their I've got this mentality, they're treading they're marking time in the military. I'm former military, and
Mhm.
we used to call it marking time, which means you're in one place. and you're marching and you're stuck right there in one place. And I thought about that when you were saying that. And you need somebody to help you push forward.
Yes.
So we get the command, in the military, you get the command to go forward. But if you don't have anyone, like you said, helping you realize you don't have to stay here all time. Where are you getting, but you've been told or something has happened that's made you stop here. Yeah. How do you get that help to say, you don't have to stay there? Exactly. So I love what you're doing and how you're helping. And you said there's a pathway. That's the other part. I think that individuals need that help in what you're doing. And what you said that was so crucial. Sometimes we want to go, but we don't see the path. There's no instruction. People need the guidance. And so when I was a child, I didn't always know which way I need to go. So somebody had to open the path. They had to teach me. But we as adults sometimes we think we don't need that instruction.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. So you said such a mouthful that we're going to get into. And I like that because you already laid out some of the challenges for us right there. The challenge is we don't have the help or we don't know the path. And so we need someone to help guide us. And if we as adults can realize help is not, can you address, before you even start laying all that out, can you address how do you address people who come in with the mentality, or do people come to you ready, or the people with the mentality that I got this, and it's because we have a population of people, especially, I'm just going to put it out there, our colored people, African American, Black American, whatever you want to call stuff. I address as Black American because I don't remember coming off a boat. I'm not my roots. I can't trace my roots yet back to Africa. Right. But Black Americans that believe help, that there's a stigmatism still in our society about getting help.
There is. And it's unfortunate because I look at it this way. We didn't get here by ourselves, right? We didn't birth ourselves. There was always some kind of assistance. And no matter where you are in life, no matter what you have achieved, you can go a level higher, but you'll need some help. You can't do everything, no matter how great you are. And I know people have all sorts of talents and skills and abilities, but you only know what you know. And when you are looking at yourself, you only get sort of like a sliver of the pie. You can't see the whole thing. And that's why it's important to get someone else to help you, because they can see things that you can't see. We all have those blind spots. And I think the higher that we go, the more that we tend to think, oh, I've got this. I don't need anybody else's help. But that's when you need more help because you're going someplace that you've never gone. Yes. So how are you going to go someplace you've never gone and knowing that there are things that you don't know if you don't get help, if you don't have the help? So you're right. We in the Black community, we've had this stigma, and I think it's still there, about just being strong and being Superman or Superwoman and handling this on our own. And the more that we have that kind of mindset, because that's what it's really all about, the more that we keep that mindset, the more that we're holding ourselves back, because we can't do it all alone. We weren't created to do it all alone.
We never were. And thank you for, addressing that. And so when you have people coming in, and I just want you to start just speaking to us and telling us about some of the challenges. And I know there are lots of challenges other than when we start getting past, okay, I've come in, I know that I need help. I need guidance. I can't do this by myself. But what are some challenges that, as adults, I know for me, I'll just speak for myself. Mine was my mindset. And you said this in the beginning. I felt like this is all I deserve, because challenges in life that I came up against, that I faced either in the workplace or different things in life, Amy, I began to tell myself, well, maybe it will never be any better. Maybe this is all I'm entitled to have. That was the younger me, I will admit.
Right.
But when you have that happen to you repeatedly, how do you work through that cycle?
Believe it. Right. You start to believe it.
You start to believe it. Yeah.
You do. You start to believe it. And that's because there's no outside influence coming in to challenge your thought process. And so we get very fixed, right? We fix our thoughts on that. I can't, I won't. It's always been this way. So I guess this is how it's supposed to be, or this is what, we did in my family. So this is all I know. So I just keep repeating that pattern. And you're absolutely right. It all starts with the mindset. And sometimes, we are our own worst enemy because we get stuck in that mindset of this is all that I need, or I'm good. No one else is, I'm not complaining, I'm content, or I don't need any help, or whatever it is. And you need someone else to kind of stand up before you and hold up a big mirror and say, come on. Like, no, you can't do it all. You can't see it all. We can be our own worst enemy because of our mindset and the things that we are feeding our minds daily. Because it doesn't matter where you are, where you're going, you are feeding yourself something every single hour of every single day. It is. And so either you are feeding yourself something that's going to keep you in that stagnant stage, either you're going to feed yourself something where you need to do something, but you're not taking any action. So you're contemplating things, or you're going to feed yourself to the fact that that there is more to life, no matter where you are, no matter what you've accomplished, no matter what level you are, and you are determined to elevate and go higher. So it really does start, like you said, it does start with mindset. And sometimes you have to have someone else help you see where your mind is what your mind is fixated on.
Wow. Wow. That just, what are you feeding your mind daily? Some people probably say, well, I don't think about any of those things, but you just clarified that for us.
Yes.
That you're feeding your mind something every day.
Every day.
So I had to go back to that because I'm telling you, I know there are tons of people that would probably say, well, I'm not thinking about this. I'm not thinking about that. I'm not negative. I'm not. And you think, yeah, you have no idea the things that we're allowed to filter in.
Exactly.
And resonate. And so what are we feeding ourselves?
Right. What are you feeding yourself? And so what are you doing with the time that you have? What are you taking in? It could be negative thoughts that you've had all along. It could be your circle. You could have people around you who they don't necessarily realize that they're negative, but they're negative. And you might think about doing something. And I'm like, oh, you don't want to do that. Why are you trying to do that? Those are the people who will, maybe that's not their intentions, but it comes off as they're going to keep you right where you are. They want you to be right where they are because they're not going anywhere. They're not growing, and they want your company. So maybe it is the company that you keep that you have to, take a look at and examine. What are you feeding yourself? When you have free time, what are you doing with that free time? Are you focusing on outward things, or are you focusing on things that you can't control or you have no influence over? Or are you focusing on yourself? Because that's where it has to start. You have to look internally, and you really have to be honest with yourself about what it is, where you are, why you're there, and what it is that you want out of life. Because I believe that as long as we have air in our lungs, that there is something that we are still here to do. And if you have not fulfilled your purpose, you're still living, right? You're still living.
Yes.
Man. So what are you doing with the time that you have? Are you, again, just looking externally at all of these problems and issues and things that you have absolutely no influence or control over? Or are you going to take control over what you can control, over the things that you can influence? And that starts with yourself.
Amy, I love that, because that thing you just mentioned about looking external. So many times we'll spend life with the blame game, or if we're not using it as a blame, we use it as a crutch.
Yes.
Well, someone's doing this, and this person said this, or this person, I can't because of this. And as you just said, the external. And we don't take time to say, well, this is my piece, this is my part. And no matter what's happening there, I need to do this, my part. And I know we can't control anyone else,
Right.
but what we can control. So I love the way you're saying we need to take time to look internally about us, what the part we can control. And I think failure does come. I won't say failure because I was just having a conversation with someone the other day about failure.
Mm-hmm.
Failure isn't everything that happens to us. Instead of looking at those things that we don't get the way we want as failure, but use each one as a stepping stone.
That's right.
To, oh, okay, I didn't do that. That didn't happen. That's not the way it should. Well, that's a stone to step on until I get to success. But if you keep repeating it, maybe it is a failure.
Yeah.
If you don't learn from it, it's a failure. But if we're just looking, well, so-and-so did this and I can't do this because if we keep looking at that external. So that analogy is so good. And training people to do that though, when they come in,
It's
shifting that mindset.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's, my thing is, so what? That's a question I say, a question I ask all the time. So what? Well, such and such did this to me. Okay, so what? It's your life. So you're telling me that because someone, said something, because someone cheated on you, because someone got the job that you wanted and you planned for, and so now you're going to let someone else stop you from doing the things that you want to do in life, from having the type of life that you want. I mean, that to me, that's absolutely crazy.
That's so good.
You can't control what other people do. So stop looking externally. It's, those are really, we get to the cut to the chase. Those are excuses.
Yes, ma'am.
Excuses, because we are fearful of doing the work. Maybe we don't think we can do the work. So maybe we have a confidence issue there. But there's something there that stops us from taking accountability for ourselves and our actions and our lives. And like you said, I don't even look at failure as failure. You're right. I look at it as a stepping stone. It's an opportunity to learn from that so that I can do better, so that I can improve. Yes. I know that for myself, I have learned so much more from my failures than I have from coming straight out the gate and being successful. Because then we get that mindset. We're like, I got this. I don't need anybody else. I can do this on my own. We're like, no. Hold on. Wait until life throws you a curveball and you're going to find out, no, you do need some help.
Exactly.
You need someone. So, it's all about those excuses. We really need some, and sometimes that's why we need that coach or someone to tell us and say, hey, you're taking the easy way out by blaming everyone else. And not to say that those things didn't necessarily happen. No one said that life was fair, but it's your life. So are you going to just give up your ownership and your power to people because of the things that they say or they do? I'm not willing to do that. And I don't want anyone else to do that either. So it is about retraining how we think. We have to unlearn a lot of things so that we can have that room to learn and then relearn.
I love the way you said that about unlearn, and because sometimes we have been taught, you were saying even earlier from the beginning, like our traditions, our family and different things. And I know for some of us, we were taught just to go with the flow. Yeah. Okay. Just accept what comes. This is what it is. That's just the way things are. Mm-hmm. So for some of us, it is learning that that's just not, you don't have to go with the flow. Yeah. That even traditions, I would say one of the things to unlearn is family traditions or cultural traditions for some of us are not necessarily proper for where your purpose to be. You were saying how if you're not fulfilling your purpose and you still have breath in your body, you have the opportunity. Well, I believe, because I teach empowerment as well. Mm-hmm. And I feel like some of us don't reach or can't or not aspiring because of cultural traditions or family traditions. And we're sticking to that instead of following our dreams. And we're not your elevation. I love the way I love some of your Amyisms, right? I'm going to read one here. It says, you can settle for less or you can live your best life. There is no in between, only levels climb.
Only levels to climb. That's it.
But I think sometimes we don't climb because we're so fixated on either what someone else is saying, what someone else is doing, or what the past or family has dictated that this is where we should be. Address some of that for me.
Absolutely. You know, that's one of the things that I agree with you that can often keep us held back. Traditions, the things that we've been taught, the things that we see in our family, and just what we've kind of learned over time. But those things may have worked for that person or that time frame of whatever was going on in their lives at a particular time. It doesn't mean that what worked then works now. We are constantly changing. This world is constantly changing. This is, if you think about it this way, the world that we're in right now, and as fast as things are, this is as slow as it's ever going to be. So what worked even a year ago, 20 years ago, doesn't necessarily fit the world that we are in right now. And it certainly doesn't fit us as people, who we are, and the things that we need to do for ourselves. So we do have to stop and take a look at that and say, why am I doing the things that I'm doing? Is it out of is it out of habit? And if it is out of habit, does this habit serve me? Or is it something that served someone else back in the day, but does it still serve me? Or does it not? And if it doesn't, why am I doing this? Why am I going to continue to do it? So that opens up that door to people pleasing, and you're living your life for someone else, living your life to please someone else, living your life because of someone else's expectations. Again, there's the external focus. But when we get right back to it, it is your life, and only you are responsible for it. Not our traditions, not our family, not our friends, not the things that we grew up with, not those, cultural things that we were told way back in the day or whatever. Some of those things may be applicable today, and that's fine, but you have to do a self-inventory all the time. What is working for me? What is not working for me? And you can't get there unless you're able to be introspective and to really be honest and truthful with yourself. If you're not going to do that, you will continue to look outward. You will continue to blame other people, and you will continue to make and accept excuses so that you can stay where you are and be content, even though that contentment really doesn't serve you. Because I believe that there is not a person on this earth who doesn't have something that they want to achieve, hopes, dreams, goals, whatever it is. But as long as you feed into and accept the excuses, you're never going to get there. You're never going to get there.
That's true. And so another thought came to mind. Told you I'm going to be thinking about all these things when you're talking. When you said, oh my gosh, did it just leave me? No, when you said what's working for us. So I was just thinking about the past Vera and the current Vera. There was a time when I was single, young single, living a certain way. There was a time when I was a mother. Now there's this period now. So you were saying we have to evaluate what's working for us. There's what's working for me back then didn't necessarily work for me now. So it's not even just breaking from traditions, but maybe evaluating where you are in this stage of your life.
Exactly. I say that by the time you get around 40, things are definitely happening, right? We may have broken marriages. Maybe we've had kids and now the kids are grown and they're moving away. Maybe we are just at a point in our life where we've accomplished all the things that we want to accomplish and we just don't know what is next. So when you get to that point, you have to decide what's next. What is it that I want? Not the Amy who was a little girl growing up saying that these are the things that I was going to do, and not the Amy who went to school because she didn't know what else to do, right? The Amy who has been married and really got married because I thought, well, I don't know what else to do, right? I'm like,
Wow.
this is what I think I'm supposed to do.
Or what they tell us that we're supposed to be at this age, married, have
Exactly.
kids. Yeah.
We're supposed to be married. You're supposed to have kids. You're supposed to do this. You're supposed to do that. But if I had really stopped and looked at what I wanted at that point in my life, I wouldn't have gone down those paths of really trying to do things because it was best for other people and not for myself. And now I am all about, and some people think that it's a selfish thing, but I'm like, to me, it's like a self-love. You have to be the best you if before that you can or continue to grow and be a better you before you can extend and maybe combine your life or do something with someone else, because you can't
That's
put
so
two
true.
broken halves together and get a whole. You get two broken halves, right?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Oh man, that's so true, because I have been teaching that for so long that two broken halves don't make a whole. That you're still not piecing together properly, and I don't think that's a selfish way to think about it.
No.
But we weren't taught self-care.
No, at all.
We were taught care for others.
Exactly.
That when you care, and it's not that we don't believe caring for others is important, but what you're saying is so good. And I hope, look, I'm going to pause here and take like a commercial break.
Okay.
Everybody, this is Vera Sadler with VLS Coaching, Women Life Ministries, and I'm here with Amy Hill. If you're just hopping on from a level higher, we're talking about the challenges individuals have of leveling up in their life. And I mean, she's putting down some great stuff. So I hope you're picking it up. Our challenges, and really the main challenge sounds like it's in our mindset and the way we think, and what we let other people feed to us. But then that goes back to our mindset, right?
Yes.
Goes actually back to our mindset. But what you just said about some people think it's selfish, but we were all taught. I mean, as a young woman, I was taught that, oh, how much I love other people proves how good I am. But I can love people and care for other people. But if I don't care for myself, how can I show anybody? I'm not good for anybody else. Taking care of myself too. Exactly. And so, but it took me, Amy, till I'm 58, about to be 59. It took me till I was like in my late 40s or almost 50. I won't even say my late 40s. So I was almost 50 to realize I have to love me. I have to care for me. You know, I don't know about you, but there were episodes when I burnt out so bad that I was in a bed for a week at a time because I got pneumonia one time. I remember one time I had the flu, but the flu wouldn't go away, or I was sick and I was just like, I don't have a sickness I could put the name on, but I'm so exhausted. I have no strength. And so I wasn't good for anybody then.
Right. Exactly. And it's sad because, you know, I think lots of times growing up, we may have seen our mothers, our grandmothers, our aunties, whomever, you know, our dads work like that, and they keep going and keep going. But that was out of necessity. You know, there were things that they had to do. And I think a lot of us have just adopted that as a lifestyle. And it's just intuitive. We don't know anything differently because this is what we grew up. This is how we grew up, and this is what we saw everyone do. And so we take that on. And it isn't until, like you said, something happens to stop that. There is a burnout, there's a sickness, there's a job loss, there is a loss in the family. There is something that happens that interrupts that pattern. And at that point, you have an opportunity. You have an opportunity to say, well, do I continue down this path, or do I want something, or do I need something different? And lots of times it's out of necessity. You know, the path that you're on is just going to keep going in this downward spiral, and you won't survive it. So I look at those breaks or those interruptions as warning signs, like, hey, you better get it together. You can't keep going down the path that you're on. I'm just going to give you a little sign here. Pay attention to the sign. And if we don't pay attention to the sign and we go back to doing the things that we were doing previously, the next time that it happens, it's going to be more severe and it's going to be harder to get out of. It's like someone explained it to me like this. It's like if you're driving down the road and someone's in the car with you and you two are having an argument and you swerve off, maybe there's ice on the road or something, and you have an accident and now you're stuck in the ditch. But the two of you, and now both of you have two broken legs, but you keep arguing, right? You keep doing what you were already doing. You're not paying any attention to where you are now. Now you need to get out of this. How are you going to get out of this ditch? And you both have two broken legs, but instead you keep doing the things that you were doing before. You can't do that. Otherwise, you're going to really get yourself into some serious trouble and that you can't get yourself out of. So we have to pay attention to the signs. We have to pay attention to our mental health, our emotional health. We have to pay attention to our physical health. We have to pay attention to all of these things. And that's why it is not about being selfish. Because if you don't take the time and do those things and make sure you are healthy in all those ways, something's going to happen and you're going to be forced. You're going to be forced to stop. And at that point, you might have people who are depending on you, and now you can't be there. Now you have these commitments and things that you want to do, and now you can't do it because you've dug yourself in such a hole that you can't get out.
Wow. And that's where your company comes in, A Level Higher, that really comes alongside, coaches people through the process of saying, I don't want to be where I am. I don't want to end up in a ditch, like you described. I don't want to end up in a ditch. I don't want to be where I am. I don't want to stay stagnant. I don't want to just keep marking time, but I know there's something better for me. I know there's a better way of life, but my mind, I can't figure it out on my own. I need someone to come along and help me and show me. So can you talk to us a little bit about how you help and you service clients? And guys, if you haven't started following her on Facebook, on Instagram, do so. I love her Amy-isms that she put out there, because if you don't read, when you read them during the day, it'll put that thought in your mind instantly that says, oh, this is so true. And it helps you. I will say what it does. It checks you.
Yes.
It gives you an immediate check in your mind, in your thought, and for the spirit, in your spirit for the day. That's like, okay, might not have thought about that one for the day, but it's so true. That's what it does. Like the one I just read. I'm going to read another one that says, your comfort zone has to die so that your best self can arrive. Do not resuscitate. Wow.
Exactly.
Do not resuscitate that comfort zone. My gosh.
It's that old self, right? It's the person that we might be right now, but we know that we want more and we deserve more. And what are you going to do to shed that old self so that you can continue to rise and evolve into your highest, best self? Because that's what it's all about. So when someone comes to me and they may say, I know I want more. I know there are things in life that I want to do. I just don't know where to get started. So one of the first things we do is we have a conversation, and everyone, they may want something, but it doesn't mean that they're willing to do the work. And that's what I get a lot of times is people say that they want something, but if you really truly want it, you're not going to accept the excuses. I'm not saying that there's perfection, because there is no perfection, but you're not going to let challenges or setbacks stop you, because that's pretty much where you got into the comfort zone anyway, right? But you have to know that no matter what comes, no matter what goes, that you are coachable, you are committed, and you have a community. Those are the things that are going to be essential for anyone to elevate and transform their life. They have to have those things in place. So if it's someone who, when I ask questions and they give me lots of, I'll say excuses, they don't take the ownership, I will tell them, I don't know if you're ready yet, because I keep hearing the excuses. The excuses have to stop. The excuses have to stop. And I think we have been in a society, we're in a society now where I'm just going to say a lot of people are entitled and they're given things. They don't necessarily have to work for things, or when they run into an obstacle, they go and get someone to take care of it for them instead of learning how to address that for themselves. So if anyone's going to level up in life, and not just their mindset, but again, it starts with self. They have to decide, am I coachable? Am I going to pay attention to what this person is telling me? Even if it's hard, even if it hurts, even if it's painful, can I accept that? Can I accept it? Because there's no, if you can't accept it, you can't change what you don't accept. Right? So you have to accept where you are. You have to accept that you don't know how to get where you want to go. And you also have to be willing to accept that someone knows more than you do.
That's a big one.
That's a huge one. That's a huge one. And if we can start there, then we can start to create a path for that person's elevation, getting to know them, understanding, having some examination of looking at their past. Because the past plays a big role in all of these things. Like you were saying earlier, any sort of traditions and how we were raised and any setbacks and things like that we've experienced, and, our things that people have told us, whether they're family or their friends, and how we have embraced that. So for me, it's really about looking at all of those sorts of things, starting with self. And it's really about emerging into this different person, not someone who's going to accept the excuses. You're not going to accept that this is how it is, that you always have a choice. And that's really hard for people to understand sometimes.
Yes.
They have a choice. Choosing not to do anything is still a choice. It's a choice.
Oh, wow.
And people don't necessarily, well, I can't do that because, but you can. You're just choosing, right? You're choosing not to do it, but you have a choice.
That is so good, Miss Amy.
I think at the root of it all, is, I want people to, I call it emancipation. I think you have to start with emancipation. And part of that is freeing yourself from the mindset that you've had, right? It could be freeing yourself from negative or unproductive habits. It could be freeing yourself from a circle of people who are not for your best, highest self to emerge, And once you're able to let go of some of those limitations, some of those shackles that you might have on your brains, then you're able to get ready to step into this new person, because it's a constant, it's a process, it's a journey. But this emergence of you is, who are you authentically?
Yes.
Who were you created to be? Not the persona that you've adopted, not because you're in these rooms and you have to be a certain way, you have to act a certain way or do a certain thing, not because the family expects you to do this, not because you got married and now you have these other roles to take on. Who are you authentically? If you are not embracing who your authentic self is, you're not going to elevate. Because there's going to come a time where it may seem like things are going along really well. And again, life is going to life, right? Something's going to happen. And there's that interruption. And you have to know who you are in order to be able to know where you need to go. Otherwise, that interruption or that break can really take you out of the game. So knowing who you are and becoming that authentic person. And a part of that is going back and looking at, doing some evaluation, right? Looking at your past, looking at what you've been told, looking at, like I was saying earlier, what are you feeding yourself on a daily basis? How did you get to where you are? Then you start that process of elimination. There are some things that I'm going to need to change. It could be my habits. It could be, how I'm using my time. It's what I'm putting into my body. It's what I'm putting into my mind. You start to eliminate things that are not for your best, highest self. And you really have to have this commitment, right? This commitment, this dedication to elevating, to becoming your best, highest self. And that's a constant journey. You have to know how to endure setbacks and obstacles. You have to really be on this path of excellence, that no matter what, I know there's still more for me to do. There's still levels to climb. So let me get to it. Let me be empowered. Let me do this. Let me increase my self-confidence. Let me, what ways do I need to grow? Where are my blind spots? What do I not know that someone else can shine a light on and help see that there are some things that I need to work on? Because again, most people focus externally. And as long as there's an external focus, you will never do what you need to do to grow and elevate and transform your life. It just won't happen.
Yeah. And that finding out who the authentic you really is so important. I remember a time when I was younger and I kept thinking, I had to switch a hat to be a mother. I had to switch a hat to be a wife. I had to switch a hat to be a minister at church. I had to switch a hat to be a sister or family member. And I felt like Sybil with all these different things I had to keep switching. And it wasn't comfortable.
No,
it wasn't. And, people, I'm sure they wake up wondering, who do I have to be today? You mentioned that you get into these rooms and you have to be who they want you to appear to be. But if you know who you authentically are, it doesn't matter what room you are in, what space you're in, even as a mother, as a wife, you're still you. And the true you, the true character, the true shines up in each room. And you're not switching, because I'm telling you, that was not a comfortable place. Yeah. And it was so draining to have to figure out switching these roles to accommodate others, because it never was about me.
No,
it was never about what I wanted and what I felt I needed and how I wanted to live my life. It was about accommodating other people and their needs. But when you show up, this is so good. And I hope people are learning that the you inside of you is important. And the real you, when you show up for you, that's what makes the best life of you and for others around you. Because I think when I started being the real me, I found that was the blessing in my life, to be with the other people that came into my circle. Yeah. When I'm pretending or I'm being who you want me to be, our relationship is not great. No. Because it's only based on false. It's not based on truth. But when I show up who I really am, and you accept me for who I am, and I'm growing, and it may not always be a perfect relation, but we grow through those. That's another key thing that you said, that we're always growing. We're always learning. So I think the authentic person inside of me is constantly always saying, okay, how do I better myself? Like you said, how do I better myself? So Amy, even for me, I'm always looking and thinking, what do I do next? What's my next step? I look at videos now. I'm looking at different things. I don't assume that I know.
Right.
So somebody asked me a question this morning. I said, I don't know that. But once I research it, I can get back to you, because I don't know. If they thought, oh, you've done something similar, you already automatically know. No, ma'am, I don't. Right. And I'm not going to pretend to know. But together we can do some research on it and come back together. But when we aren't our authentic self, oh my gosh, that's so powerful.
Being authentic, being, rooted in truth, not who people expect you to be, not who people want you to be, but who you are, and the person that you really see yourself growing and becoming. And as you deepen that authenticity, you get those roots in, and now you're anchored in your authenticity, and you can keep growing and elevating only if you are staying true to your authentic self. And so many of us, we start that way, but then because there's a life experience, or we may have some success in some areas and some doors are opening, and now they're telling us that we need to do this and we need to do that. And that goes, and you can usually feel it. You can usually feel it. If you are truly in touch with who you are, you know that what they're saying, because it's not something that you instantly agree with.
Exactly.
You have to maybe like, I don't know about that. You have to think about it. It doesn't set well in your spirit. And if it doesn't set well in your spirit, do not do it, because all that glitters, we know, is not necessarily gold. Some of it's tin, right? Some of it's rust and tin. And if you don't know that, you're going to get yourself in those situations and you're going to lose yourself. And it's easy to do, right? It's easy to do when we are not anchored in our authenticity and we become people pleasers and we're doing things for other people instead of ourselves. That's when we get off the path of elevation. That's when we start to create comfort zones. That's when we stop feeding our mind with positive things that continue to help us grow. That's when we settle for less. That's when we go back and reach into those things in the past. Well, mom said that, this is how it's always been in our family, so I guess she was right. That's when we start looking for the excuses, so that we can just stay right there and not continue to do the work to go farther and to get to where we want to go.
Man, this has been so good, Amy, and I so appreciate you coming on and sharing. Guys, I am with Amy Hill from A Level Higher. I'm going to post her website on here so that you can see how you can get in touch with Miss Amy Hill. Her company is called A Level Higher. Her website is alevelhighernow.com. And if you need someone to help you get from being unstuck, stagnant, elevate. I mean, I love her where she said there is a path to elevation, someone to help guide you, because we need most of us don't even realize it, but we need someone else to come alongside. If you have not connected with her, if you need to connect with her and you just don't reach out to her directly, you can DM me and I can connect you to Miss Amy Hill, because we are all here. There's enough work for all of us to promote and to get, there's so many people that need help. So we would love for you to reach out to Miss Amy, get the help that you need. If you don't want to reach out to her, reach out to me, but we're going to continue asking you to get the help you need. Like I said, she is here to help you elevate in your thinking, elevate in your mind, change the way so you're not stuck. We don't want people stuck. We want you to live the best version of yourself. So her website is on there. My website is scrolling across the bottom of the screen. Don't get stuck. Amy, thank you for coming and share with us on Tuesday Talk Live. As we close up, do you have any final comments for our guests that are watching this live broadcast?
I just want to remind everyone that elevation is a choice.
That's so good.
It's a choice. Choose wisely.
That's so good. So good. Again, thank you for joining us on Tuesday Talk Live, Amy. And I love to catch you soon. Again, you guys go to Instagram and catch her Amy-isms that she put out there and her nuggets that she's posting. I promise you, you will not be disappointed, because you will learn something every time you get online with her and you see what she's putting out there. I'll talk to you again next week on Tuesday Talk Live.